Hello, everyone. Welcome to Debbie Reads Living Books. We have another great living book. Let me show you. From Seed to Plant. And that is what we're going to be reading today. So I'm going to show you this first inside. There it is. And we have all kinds of plants. Plants with flowers on them, right? Can you name any of those? So we have tulip, daisy, rose, a pea, like the kind you eat, buttercups, and corn. Did you know corn had a flower? It does. Seeds are different shapes, sizes, and colors. All seeds grow into the same kind of plant that made them. So we have a picture here of a sunflower. You all have had sunflower seeds, right? Well, the sunflower seed makes sunflower flowers. And this is an acorn, and this is an oak tree. Many plants grow flowers. Flowers are where most seeds begin. Let me see if I can get that in there. There we go. So we have apple up here, dandelion. This is an aster. Zinnia and an aster. All right, so many plants grow flowers, and flowers are where most seeds begin. A flower is made up of many parts, so let's really look at that. So we have the petals, which are these pretty, beautiful pink things, and here we can see the petals. We have a stem, a sepal, S-E-P-A-L, which is the little kind of green, not leaves, it's firm, and it really holds the petals right in there. Now they have sliced this flower so we can see what's inside, and those inside parts actually have names. We have the stigma, and generally that's right in the middle, and it's kind of sticky. It is sticky. And these side parts are called pistils, which are these. The stamens are these, and pollen, you've seen pollen. It's all on these. So we have the pistils, the stamens, and there's pollen on these little round parts, and there's a sticky stigma. I wonder why it's sticky. I know why it's sticky. At the bottom of the pistils are tiny egg cells. Did you know that flowers have egg cells? And if you were to take a flower and cut it in half, way down here, you would see little holes, H-O-L-E-S, that hold egg cells. And you can actually see them. And generally, they're not that color. They would almost be the same color as this green. But there you go, right there. All right, so that's what a flower has if you cut it in half. Now, before a seed can begin to grow, remember we have our little seed cells down here way at the base of that flower. Well, before it can grow, a grain, just one grain of pollen from the stamen must land on the stigma at the top of the pistil of a flower like itself. And this is called pollination. Okay, so let's go back. So before a seed can begin to grow, a grain of pollen, remember the pollen are on these guys right out here, from the stamen must land on, ooh, the stigma, this sticky thing at the top of the pistil. This is really quite firm, of a flower like itself. This is called pollination. When that happens, when that pollen gets going and gets on the sticky part, called pollination. All right. Pollination happens in different ways. So let me stop for a moment. Can you think maybe one or two ways that you know of how pollination happens in a flower? I can think of two. They may show me more in here. Let's see. Pollination happens. Now, here are some pretty poppy flowers. Do you have those where you live? I don't. But I've seen them. Those are beautiful. Pollination happens in different ways. Often, wind blows pollen from flower to flower. Has your mom ever said, or your dad ever said, oh, allergies are happening, there's so much pollen in the air? Or even the Weather Channel apps will let you know if it's a high pollen day, because a lot of people, when they get that into their sinuses or eyes, have a little reaction, especially if you live in an area with lots of plants. And that's how it happens. So we see in these poppies, can you see how the wind blew pollen from here over to here? Pollination. Bees, they will often get inside, right? And get all covered in pollen, and then they fly to the next flower like itself and wiggle on in there, and now you have the pollen from here going to there, pollination. Bees, other insects, and hummingbirds help pollinate too. While they visit flowers for their sweet juice, called nectar, pollen will rub on their bodies. So we see this hummingbird. He's going into this flower, and all over his tummy is pollen. And he's going to go to the next flower and the next flower and the next flower. And if he goes to another flower like this one, he will take that pollen and put it on the pistils that are held up by the stamens and pollinate. Then they carry the pollen to another flower where it comes off its pistils. So we had read that. All right, so now we're going back to this picture. Actually, it's showing it again. If a pollen grain from a flower lands on the pistil of the same kind, it grows a long tube through the pistil into an oval. This is the beginning of a seed. So I'm going to hold this up. Now, can you see, I think it's this one, where the seed cells are? And it's been pollinated. Pollen got there. Wind, flower, bird, we don't know. But it has become, pollen got on here, came down through here, fertilized it, and now it is growing this long tube. Let's see what that's going to be about. That's interesting. Well, apparently that's the beginning of a seed. Oh. So we have this beautiful flower, and look what happens once it starts to produce a seed. Oh, it has this, that the petals start to kind of die away. And we have what is called a fruit. So whether you can eat that or not, it's still called a fruit. It is a fruit of that particular plant. So the seed grows inside the flower even as the flower begins to die. As the seed becomes bigger, a fruit or pod will grow around them, and the fruit or pod protects the seed. So you can see where we have a fruit is growing. Literally, that could become a peach. It really could. And then we have this over here, which is a pod, and your peas and your green, not your green beans. Oh, your green beans, yeah. Lima beans. That would be that. All right, so when the fruit or pod ripens, meaning it's not growing anymore, it's not developing anymore, it is done. It breaks open and the seeds are ready to become new plants. So we can see the peas over there, can't we? We're ready to eat those. And then these are just more flower seeds. Some seeds fall to the ground around the base of the plant where they will grow. Okay, that sounds right. Some pods or fruits open and the seeds pop out. Sometimes when birds eat berries, they drop the seeds to the ground. Other seeds fall into streams, ponds, rivers, or oceans. There they travel on the water until they stick to dirt along a shore. I didn't know that. I just never thought of that. That's interesting. Oh, look it. From palm tree into the water, sticks to the ground. Look at that. Oh. Huh. I don't live where that happens, so that's interesting to me. So, oh, a dandelion. So the wind can scatter seeds, right? We've picked dandelions and blown them. So the wind scatters seeds, and some seeds have fluff on them that lets them float to the ground like tiny parachutes. Others have wings that spin them around to the ground. Animals help scatter seeds too. They hide acorns and nuts in the ground. Some seeds have hooks that stick to the fur of animals and people's clothes, and later they drop to the ground. Wow, there's so many different kinds of ways that we get more plants. A flower bed or a vegetable garden is beautiful. Seeds are planted in the ground to grow a garden. So people can actually help spread seeds. The seeds come in small envelopes or boxes when you buy them, and directions on the back of the box or the envelopes explain how to plant seeds and take care of them. So, the beginning of a plant is curled up inside each seed. So let me show you that. So this is a bean. I'm going to even say a lima bean. And can you see where the book said food is curled up inside each seed? This actually says food right here. So that's food. And right here, do you see the gray outlining? It's a seed coat. It's the hard part on the outside where it makes it look like it's all dried up and dead, but not really. There's food in here. And here, and you can see it's in the ground now, is the beginning of a plant. Now that doesn't happen unless that seed gets to the ground and gets moisture. A seed will not sprout until certain things happen. First, it must be on or in the soil, of course. Then it needs rain, of course, or even a garden hose or whatever to soak that seed, and it softens that outside hard seed coat. And when the sun is just right for that seed, and it shines and is just warm enough for that particular type of seed, the seed coat breaks open. And that seed, oops, let me find it, that little part right up there actually is stimulated by the warmth and the sun and the water, and it begins to grow. This is called germination. If it can pop out of there and start to grow, you're like, yay, we have germination. And the root grows down to the soil. The root takes in waters and minerals from the soil for the food. So this right here, my friends, is germination, where it breaks open, down goes the root, and up goes the shoot. Green leaves grow up from the shoot towards the sun. Oh, every gardener's happy moment. And that just says leaves on the top. The plant grows bigger and bigger, and the leaves actually, with the sun and then the darkness. So it's both of those things. And sometimes the moon comes up and actually spreads so much light in a full moon that it actually will stimulate the plant to grow a little bit in the dark. So the leaves make food for the plant from the water and the minerals in the soil, the sunlight, and the air around the plant. Look at that plant. Can we even guess what kind of plant it is? Do you remember what I said was in the ground? It looked like a hard shell of something. And remember, when you put the seed in of some type of plant, that is the exact plant you're going to get back. You cannot plant a melon and expect an oak tree. Finally, the plant is full grown. Look at that. And look at its root system. It has grown so big to support this big growth. And guess what happened? It's called a life cycle. And it is starting once again to produce flowers. And from those flowers, guess what? New seeds will grow. Many of the foods people eat are seeds, fruits, and pods. They are full of nutrition, vegetables, and minerals, and they are tasty too. Can you imagine that all of these things, do you see anything that's your favorite? That is actually a seed. So if you eat the pumpkin, inside are seeds. If you eat, what do we have over here? Apples, grapefruits, oranges. What do we have inside? You know. Seeds are inside. Here's some rice. That's seeds. Yeah, you're eating seeds. Corn, if you let it grow and dry out, all of these yellow parts actually are what farmers will plant the next year to get more corn plants. But if you eat it, then it's in your tummy and it's just delicious. Isn't that interesting? Even. These strawberries have, should I say, dozens upon dozens upon dozens of seeds on the outside that if you were to collect them, you could grow strawberry plants. So it gives you on the back of the book a way to go from seed to plant. It's a seed to plant project. I'm reading the book. You will never, and it's backwards, you'd never be able to figure this out. But if you wanted to try, ask your parents to just look at the last part of this video that you wanted to do a seed to plant project and see if you can't find on the internet how to do that. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this fun book learning about how we go from seed to plant to yummy fruit to eat and then back to seed if we don't eat it. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.